Smack-a-macabre, everybody. I got a question for you all. Who do you like more? Bon Scott or Brian Johnson in AC/DC? Before I tell you who I like more, here's some rock stars that have things to say about Brian Johnson and Bon Scott. Starting with Phil Anselmo. He says, different vocalists, different feel a bit. They both have great attitude and different voices. The visionaries in AC/DC would be the Young Brothers. The fact that they picked Brian Johnson, I'm thinking that they were thinking ahead. Or either that or they were just lucked out because they're both great in their own right. So there you go. Phil won't say which one he likes more. Let's see if Sebastian Bach does. He says, AC/DC didn't try to clone the singer that they had before. Like some bands, make the mistake of trying to hire a guy that clones or impersonates the dude before. And there are a lot of examples of that. Yeah, I'm sure he's alluding to Skid Row. But AC/DC did not do that because I don't think it's possible to clone Bon Scott. I don't think anybody is capable of impersonating Bon Scott. But Brian Johnson had a completely different style and sound, so there really was no comparison because they're so different. All right. Sebastian won't admit it or won't say who he likes more. Who knows? Maybe they just like them both the same, Sebastian and Phil. All right, Chuck Billy. He says they're night and day. I think especially lyric-wise for sure. I totally see the difference. But something about Brian's technique and his style of vocals, because he's unique, really made him fit there in this unique band. I think if they had someone ordinary, I don't think it would have been the same AC/DC. They have to have that unique thing as the lead person out there, and I think Brian Johnson was the guy. I don't know, maybe Chuck's talking about he likes Brian more. Didn't make that clear though. All right, who else we got here? There's a couple other people, but I don't want to talk. I don't care for them. All right, Steve Souza, I dig him. He says, nothing against Brian. I like the AC/DC stuff with Brian, but I don't go to it, if I'm in a car, I'm listening to AC/DC, it's not Brian Johnson era stuff. It's Bon Scott era stuff. It's my preference. Nothing against it. I mean, come on. TNT, as soon as anybody hears that, they start singing TNT. And when I play that, the whole crowd is going TNT. Everybody loves it. Little kids know that song, All right, the last one. Simon Wright, the guy was in AC/DC. Let's see what he has to say. And by the way, yeah, Susan's like Bon all the way. All right, Simon Wright. They're kind of the same, but they're not. They're both great, without a doubt. But I think Bon had more of a street thing going on. He had that tongue-in-cheek, double entendre kind of thing going on with his lyrics, which was great. Then Brian came in and he put a whole other spin on things with songs like Hell's Bells and You Shook Me All Night Long and stuff like that. And I think that helped with the American market for the band because it's about bells and girls and stuff. And obviously Back in Black, which is killer. So I think Brian has done a fantastic job taking over for Bon, but they're both really good singers. I don't think one is better than the other, to be honest. All right, there you go. That's what everybody has to say. All right, and I want everybody out there, I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. All right, what singer do I like more? Bon Scott or Brian Johnson? Dave Evans. That was a good one. I definitely go with Bon Scott. Now, I discovered AC/DC with Bon Scott. I was heavily into AC/DC for about a year before Bon died, and it crushed me. But by the time Bon died, I already had High Voltage, Highway to Hell, Let There Be Rock, The Live. I had it all. I mean, all the American releases by the time Bon died. And so, yeah, it was a totally bum day. I'll never forget it, man, being in junior high school. And somebody told me that Bon Scott died, and I was like, oh my God, no way. And that was probably my first rock star death that, that hit me. I mean, yeah, I remember when Keith Moon died, but I wasn't like the biggest Who fan at the time, but now I worship the Who and Keith Moon, but Bon I was worshiping at the time. So it was really the first one that really hit me, and hit me super hard. That, but now I think about it, yeah, John Lennon, but, I got swept up with the whole nation, even though it was very sad that John Lennon got murdered. It was different, though. I loved the Beatles, but not like I loved Bon Scott at the time, and AC/DC. A lot of people, AC/DC was all about Angus. But I swear to you, back then, I loved Bon. I mean, the first time I heard his voice, I didn't like it. My friend got If You Want Blood, and I listened to it at his house. I was like, well, the band's good. Because I never heard anybody like Bon Scott. He sounded like a freaking alien. And now I absolutely love his voice. Now, as far as Brian Johnson goes, I agree with everybody that said, man, he picked up the slack and he did great, but he's totally different than Bon Scott. It's, night and day. It really is. But I love Brian Johnson. I think he did a great job. Yeah, there's a lot of AC/DC albums that are just hit and miss with Brian, where I love every single AC/DC album with Bon Scott. Now, I got to tell you, it wasn't until the internet I found people that said Brian Johnson, they prefer Brian Johnson over Bon Scott. I never heard anything like that pre-internet in the 80s. People dug it. People dug Brian. But everybody I knew, we all loved Bon more. Bon was the singer of AC/DC. I hate when people call him shithouse poet. There's nothing shit about his fucking lyrics. It's just awesome. Double entendre, great stuff. And he was just so damn unique, man, and it crushes me that I never got to see AC/DC with Bon. If he would have lived just a year more, I could have seen him. I could have seen, because I did see AC/DC on For Those About to Rock tour. But yeah, it's definitely Bon Scott for me. But how about for you? And I understand if people say Brian Johnson, yeah, that's cool, man. It's your opinion. I get it. But, leave your comments below. I know there's a lot of people that also dislike Brian Johnson. I don't identify there. I mean, I think the guy is awesome. He's great. Yes, his voice is not what it used to be, but, very rare to find anybody whose voice they used to be like 40 damn years ago. But, yeah, leave your comments below. Who do you like more in AC/DC? Bon Scott or Brian Johnson? And if you like, leave the comment below of what's your favorite album from both those singers in AC/DC. Well, I'll tell you mine. With Bon Scott, it's definitely Power Age. And with Brian Johnson, it's definitely, without a doubt, Back in Black. The biggest selling album. A lot of people won't pick Back in Black because you all just want to be that person. You want to be contrarian. But that is the greatest album with Brian Johnson, I think. Maybe you don't think it because you're contrarian, but that's all cool. Leave it in the comments below, your favorite Bon and Brian album. And yes, I know that every time somebody brings up, choose this person between that or that person, or this band versus that band, there's always going to be the people that say, why can't we like both? I would love to hit you over the head with a brick. Seriously. Most of us do like both, but we prefer one over the other. Get over yourself. And thank you all for watching my video. I really do appreciate all of you. And I hope you're subscribed to my channel. If you haven't, please do so. And ring that little notification bell. And like the video for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath. And smack 'em a gob.